orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Underf ked Orcs versus Kim Anami. They never stood a chance. They never do. A few weeks back, I put up a post on my Instagram titled, "Why I Don't Take HRT." I explained my reasons, mainly that I don't need it, so why would I take it? I haven't had a period in about 6 years. In all those 6 years, and any of the ones preceding them, I have not had a single symptom of so-called menopause. Ever. The other main points I made were that I don't view the simple act of being a woman as a pathology that requires lifelong medicating. From puberty until death, women are told that they need to be taking exogenous hormones if they can ever dare hope for a normal or pain-free existence. At puberty, it begins with acne and maybe birth control or difficult periods. It goes on through their lives as birth control. And now that they've lowered the target age, because allopathic women are allopathic medicine's biggest cash cow, they've now invented this new category of perimenopause, whatever that even means, to now target women in their 40s and even their 30s. I was speaking to a woman in her late 20s, and she was saying that even within her realm, she has an awareness of how they're coming for her, meaning she's getting targeted with these messages of the onerous, ominous era of perimenopause is nearly upon her. So I also spoke about how if women are well fucked, they do not get menopausal or perimenopausal, whatever manufactured terms we're using, any of these symptoms. We see this all the time in my work. Women can be doing all the right things in terms of weight training and high protein eating and stress reduction, which are some of the nouveau prescriptions for menopause treatment, but always within that is that you have to take HRT, right? So women can be doing all these things and they still have menopausal symptoms. Or in Anami land, they might not be doing any of these things in terms of diet or exercise, but the key difference is they are extremely well fucked by the Anami definition, which is that sex changes your life, heals you, and self-actualizes you. At least Anami gourmet food style sex. And they have no symptoms. So do the math. This post had a favorable response amongst my following. And then someone alerted the all women need HRT community that I put up an apparently, so controversial post that I don't take HRT. And they came a-running, a gang of underfucked orcs, rabid, foaming at the mouth, grunting and panting, to arrive at my page and tell me how dangerous it was that I wasn't taking HRT, and I was so lucky. I was one of the lucky ones that I didn't have symptoms, and just wait until my vagina falls off. The hideously underfucked. In the flesh. I was called names, told that I was doing women a disservice, and a litany of symptoms were sputtered out, as though I was doing menopause wrong, because I'm fucking and lubricating and surfing and outrageously hot maxing my way through it. In true Anami-style, I took down each of these underfucked orcs one by one. for the self-proclaimed menopause doctor, herself taking HRT, of course, and recommending it for the masses, we held a who wore it better, who would you rather fuck poll. She's 55 and on HRT. I'm 55, not on HRT, but well fucked. That one was a shoo-in. I took on a New Yorker writer who racismed me, meaning she didn't recognize my superior race of people who take responsibility for their health and don't identify as victims. No, I identify as a victor. And she tried to racist my experience by saying that it wasn't valid and that me having a thriving menopause or postmenopause or whatever the fuck was insulting to other women. Bitch slapped her because whiners will be bitch slapped. In Australia, they have a term for this. They call it tall poppy syndrome. If you stand out from the crowd, if you achieve greatness, people resent you. Not because you ever insult them or try to make them feel inferior, but because your very existence does. The fact that you have achieved it, despite whatever odds and whatever brainwashing and programming and obstacles that exist trying to hold you back, you navigate it all and you win. And I guess people hate that. Correction. Self-identified victims hate that. They go batshit. They cannot deal. They'll often be seething with vitriol and even violence. Whereas people who identify as victors love to see you win because they know the blood, sweat, and toil that goes into showing up every day, dedicating yourself to the good fight, pushing past your resistance that we all can have, and your fears and your laziness and your own setbacks, and winning anyway. You know each other. You recognize the inner strength, or you find commiseration buddies to endorse the inner whining and excuse making. You find your tribe. Which brings us to the events of the past few weeks. The tribe of Whiners found the Anami tribe of Whiners. So I'm out here in Anami land, doing my thing, having orgasms, fit as fuck, traveling, surfing, and orgasming my way around the world, and not doing menopause, or at least the way that they sell it as a tragic disease that entitles women to complain nonstop and make excuses for why they lack self-discipline and indulge in laziness. I don't ever run over to their pages and tell them how dumb I think they are and how I see them as nothing but hoes for hire. Whether they are doctors doctoring information, scientists who sell their opinions and endorsements for a fee, or journalists who are at the editorial mercy of whoever is paying/sponsoring them. Hoes, all of them. I don't run over and attack them, but they seem to think it's acceptable to come over to my platform and, like a child running up to the neighbor's door, ringing the doorbell, and then running away, they leave some obnoxious comment and then they take off. Except, guess what? We have a no whiners allowed policy in Anami land. We do not indulge that bullshit around here. And these people are genuinely shocked that anyone would call them out on their whining. They are so used to playing their victim card and having people be sympathetic with them that they go twice as batshit when someone does not give a fuck about their excuses and tells them to go fuck themselves. Literally and figuratively. Enter Kim Anami. I am very, very good at telling people to go fuck themselves. I mean, I do it for a living. And if you're going to pick a fight with me, you ought to know that I am an impeccable and excellent boxer. I pack a power punch and I have perfect aim. So just yelling the word science, science, like a little NPC is not going to save you. Over the past 5 years, especially, people have grown more and more aware of just how bought and paid for the aforementioned former hallowed hall of science really is. It's pretty much a revolving door brothel at this point, so choose wisely. I'm going to break down a few of the observations that were crystal clear in watching this parade of underfucked retard orcs. First is the victim versus victor mentality. One of the things that people love to yell is, "You're one of the lucky ones because you don't have symptoms." Luck? Is Serena Williams a great tennis player because she's lucky? No, she's devoted her entire life to athletic excellence, and so she is excellent. I've had a life devoted to health and sexual excellence, nearly 40 years of conscious living and self-healing and radical responsibility taking. So when it comes to my overall wellness and my reproductive system, guess what? They are excellent. These things are earned. It's the definitely earned it crowd over here, not the DEI didn't earn it one. The primary perspective I see in how these people view themselves is that their lives, their bodies, and this condition of menopause have just happened to them. It's bad luck or biology or genetics or, again, the tragic, awful circumstance of being a woman. And they appear utterly helpless to do anything about it. In our lives, we can choose to be cause or effect. Either we are responsible for our experiences and we have a high degree of control, if not 100% control, over what happens to us, or at least how we deal with it, or we have none. Bruce Lipton proved this biologically. He showed us that our body, our hormones, our moods, whether we get sick or we're healthy, we are in control of all of it. Our thoughts, our feelings, our attitudes are the 100% determinants of what shows up in our body. That is science. And it's the only kind of science that means anything to me because it's proving that we make the choice to be victims or victors. Lipton showed that even if we have a so-called genetic predisposition for, you name it, C word, certain diseases, although how they even show this is a mystery to me, but anyway, that we can all have the bad genes, we can have all the bad genes in the world. And if we live a positive, healthy lifestyle of equilibrium and health and victor consciousness, those, quote, bad genes will never express in us. And then the opposite can happen if we make choices that keep us mired in negativity, victim consciousness, and we saturate our cellular environments with pessimism, then these negative traits have the perfect environment in which to express. So you are what you think and what you feel. So the other thing I've seen is that these women now feel more empowered. They've gotten together, these underfucked ones, right? They've gotten together in these commiseration gangs and they wallow in their symptoms. They have this huge club of underfucked orcs, and they have this collective excuse for being grumpy and frumpy and lazy and not wanting to have sex with their partners. And all of this is based on the awful truth that they basically hate women. They hate themselves and they think that women were just born wrong. Their starting place is that women and female biology are inherently flawed and need lifelong medicating to make up for this flaw. Is it that hard to be in a female body? I mean, I seem to be pretty good at it, apparently much better at it than these people. And this would be another characteristic here, is that they have no idea how to be, live, thrive, and orgasm in a female body. And look, I will acknowledge that there are elements that have been systematically imposed and even beaten into women through religious mythology all over the world and social conditioning, so much so that these even become synthetic archetypes. And I say synthetic because I do not see these themes as being legitimately existing in human evolution. They've been superimposed upon us, like the idea that woman is responsible for the destruction destruction of man, of all of mankind, right? Eve was such a hoe that she seduced Adam and made him fall from God, yada, 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 fucking yada. Women are so dangerous and sinful that they must be covered up, or else men will have no choice. It will just be too hard for them not to, rape women. So there is this pervasive attack on the feminine. But if you have enough of a connection to yourself and your feminine essence, which I would argue comes naturally when you are sexually connected to yourself, you easily rise above this programming and it doesn't touch you. You instead realize that your true power comes not in ignoring, overriding, and trying to fight with or subjugate your body, but in aligning with it, listening to it, realizing that it is your ally and source of strength and not your enemy. Women who are constantly railing against their bodies spend all of their energy in resistance, in a form of self-hatred and self-flagellation. They resent their periods, right? What's it called? The curse in the common vernacular. They hate being pregnant, or they struggle to get pregnant at all. They have traumatic childbirth experiences, and then they have this dreaded perimenopause, which again, now is apparently something women need to look out for in their early 30s. And this peri and menopausal phase will now last the rest of their lives. Being a woman is a constant onslaught and battle for these women, which I'd say is probably most all women. And yeah, I suppose that's one option of how to go through it. Or you can fuck and lubricate and ejaculate and orgasm your way through and enjoy your body and a life of bliss. Because you and your body are besties. And when you sync up together, you become unstoppable. When you harmonize, or we could say hormonize, and you actually harness all of your innate, life-giving, divine portal between worlds energy, you realize that you can achieve anything in your life, including perfect health. You become cause instead of effect. Because the difference between one and the other is one thing and one thing only: taking radical responsibility for your life, your mindset, your emotional healing, your physical disciplines, all of it. The Nocebo effect is something else that I noticed going on. These hideous, underfucked orcs come over to my page and they start screaming symptoms like mantras, like incantations they will themselves to get. Everything from vaginas withering away to hot flashes to literal mental retardation. They are going for all of it. So because I don't pay attention to all of the black magic spell casting that comes out of the allopathic model for what this time in a woman's life is supposed to look like, according to them, I had no idea. I had no idea that aging was supposed to feel bad, or that menopause is supposed to make women retarded. No idea, until all the orcs came along to try and tell me so. In medicine, they call this the Nocebo effect, which is the opposite of the placebo effect, when you essentially goad people into illness because you constantly pepper them with terrible outcomes. And when the programming reaches a critical mass and you hear it everywhere from all angles, you absorb this into your reality. And then we have all of these celebrities featured in the current film, Menopause, the movie, starring Hallie, vagina full of razor blades, Barry, and Drew, hot flashes on live television, Barrymore, and Naomi, tumbleweed dry vagina, Watts, and Gwyneth, anxiety and brain fog, Paltrow, all dutifully carrying out their new roles as malevolent menopause's latest victims. So yeah, the programming comes at you relentless and fucking hard. And it's up to you. And this is actually what I've loved seeing, is the more vocal I've been on this issue, women come forward to say, yeah, like I just knew there had to be another way. I wasn't buying it, but it's hard when all they hear is the programming about how hard it is and how the only thing that will save them is HRT, right? And so I'm out here doing this entirely differently, no HRT, thriving through it, fittest I've ever been, loving my life, creating an incredible life. And the orcs are flabbergasted, but the people who have even a connection, an inkling in themselves that there could be a better way are inspired. And that's what I'm here to do, is show, yes, there is another way. Come hither yonder over here. So with the orcs, it's also interesting that they aren't even a tad bit curious about how or why I'm orgasming my way through menopause symptom-free. Right? It's like, okay, we might have some silent defectors who aren't really saying anything, and they are just cautiously curious, and they'll go over to my site or listen to a podcast. But the bulk of them are just there. They come over to yell and scream and whine and then leave, right? Like they don't want to know that there's another way, which tells me that the reality is they do have doubts, right? You would not, it's like the lady doth protest too much, right? If you're that offended and triggered that someone's out here without going down this menopausal death sentence route, then why wouldn't you even be a little bit curious? Unless you have to really fiercely defend your narrative so much that your life depends upon it, your whole identity depends upon it. Otherwise, a naturally healthy, balanced person would even ask the question, okay, so what is she doing differently? What are all these people she's working with doing differently if they're having a complete 180 in their experience? But they're just instead so provoked by me being hot and sexy and able to live in a female body that they rail against it. The reality is, and I say this unequivocally, menopause is a malady of being underfucked. I cannot say this more clearly or definitively. A lot of adjectives, no, a lot of adverbs there. This is 100% what this is. The symptoms are identical: whiny, miserable, irritable behavior, depression, weight gain, road rage, yelling at shop clerks, and all manner, the entire umbrella of reproductive ailments, all of which are caused by stuck sexual energy, i.e. being radically underfucked. And let's say somebody sees this, right? In my list of reasons why I don't take HRT, they see this about having great sex. And because most people have never had anything resembling life-changing sex, they can't even comprehend that being sensually connected and fulfilled would have such a deep, major impact on their health and well-being. They're out there jerking off to porn, having 3-minute sexual encounters, which, as we know, is the majority, right? 90% of people. I think it's 75% of encounters end in 3 minutes and about 90% in 5 minutes. This is not life-changing sex. This isn't even close. This is probably more like trauma sex. Or these people are, grabbing a vibrator to have paltry clitoral orgasms. They have no idea, right, that there's what's even possible for them sexually. So for them, maybe they are having sex once a week for 3 minutes, having a clitoral orgasm, and they quickly dismiss that as a possible reason why they could be having the litany of symptoms they do. And so they remain perpetually underfucked and full of all of these symptoms of it and have this torturous menopause experience. So if you want to see what all the fuss was about and how I took down this crowd of underfucked orcs with one hand tied behind my back, I will pop some links into the show notes and you can head over to my Instagram and check it out. You can also check out the Meno-what, as in MENO-WHAT highlight on my Instagram account for a collection of some of these that I reposted there and other menopause wisdom. And I have started a new Substack called Psychedelic Menopause. I have a lot to say on this topic, and I'm happy, thrilled, ecstatic to be able to show women a different path of what these years can look like for them. Again, some of the women who've been actively following this conversation are women who are, well, who knows, right? Because this age range keeps shifting and getting lowered and lowered. But women, let's say in their 20s and 30s, who wouldn't normally consider themselves to be grouped in this category, if they're not maybe concerned about it coming up to them straight away, are so relieved and happy to watch someone do this fucking differently. Instead of wearing frumpy clothing, cutting their hair, gaining 50 pounds, and schlepping around, I'm out there outrageously hotting the whole fucking thing, And so, again, I am thrilled to be able to be the Pied Piper of 50-something hotness to show women, no. You don't need to give any of this up. You can actually get better, right, over time. So, yeah, you have your option, right? You can go into the terrified, underfucked aging narrative of completely falling apart, being helpless, and only being able to get by and just get by with your daily drug supply. Or you can do it like me. So one more thing I actually want to address here is that when people, I think we're looking at me, coming at these people and clapping back at them, and we're pretty shocked at the level at which the ruthlessness at which I came back at them. So, and I don't mean like mean, it just means you don't get to come over here and take his shit and expect I'm not going to kick your motherfucking ass, right? So bad behavior like that is not going to go unpunished, or at least unresponded to, right? Where I said earlier, like these people seem to think that because they're so used to whining and so used to getting accolades for their whining that they just can't even believe it when somebody stands up to them. So this is a natural outgrowth of being well fucked. It imbues you with a courage and accurately directed ferocity when needed, and I don't give a fuck energy that enables you to stand your ground anywhere, at any time, with anyone. Even if some of these people are hiding behind their pseudo-authority of their quack whore lab coats and factory-farmed orc armies, it doesn't matter. You bitch slap these whiners one by one, cabal by cabal, because the only thing that matters to you is your truth. One woman left a comment that this thread that I put up there, which was a collection of a highlight reel of my responses, that it changed her life. Because, I think especially over the last few years when there was this really big orc uprising of virtue signaling and whining, and the voices were so loud that it became, I think some people who haven't reached that place yet in themselves were nervous about speaking up or having a different opinion. And it's really amazing to see the time period right now where there's been this pendulum swing in the other direction of people speaking very clearly and loudly. At least some people. I think some people are still finding their footing here, but there's definitely been a swing. And it is a fucking delight to see. Like when I see the stuff come through my feed, I mean, it makes my day, right? When I see someone taking a stand and just going for it and not giving a fuck, it's the best. So yeah, it is very inspiring. This is what being well fucked gives you, is massive confidence to express your truth all over the place. Your mission, your message, it all comes tumbling out of you with wit and creativity and inspiration and don't give a fuck energy. And I say this all the time, that being well fucked, this is one of the natural outcomes, is that you don't give a fuck. You speak your truth clearly. You are who you are. You lay boundaries. This becomes something that just has this momentum that pours out of you. And then it begins to change your life, because the people who aren't a good vibrational match for you, they fall away. And the people who are, they come to you, they're magnetized to you, right? You find each other. And so I would much rather go down that route and find more of the people who are in alignment. So not giving a fuck happens when you give all your fucks where they belong, which is in bed. And then you don't have any fucks left to give. I also have a new salon coming out, which will be released in the coming months, called a psychedelic menopause. So I can do exactly what I'm talking about on a larger scale, is help inspire and educate women and show them exactly how it's done, where you can gallivant and orgasm your way through all of these years with nary a blip on the radar. In the meantime, check out my new Substack, Psychedelic Menopause, where I'll be posting all things related, not just specifically menopause, but with all things health and lifestyle, from diet, exercise, all the things that I've done over the decades and continue to do that I do believe support the process, but I still stand by the idea that the core factor in gliding through these transitions comes from generating your own reproductive hormones. How does this not make sense? That if the so-called problem is an imbalance or deficiency of whatever reproductive hormones, and we generate these most powerfully through sexual activity and extended, frequent, deep, and satisfying sexual activity, how is that not the most obvious solution? Of course, it's self-administered and thus free, and so will be ignored by the establishment. But there it is, all the same. When you know, you know. And now you know. Podcast, leave a review, and send somebody else the gift of a multi-orgasmic and transformational love life by sharing this episode with them. If you'd like to go deeper into all things orgasms, sign up for my free Orgasmopedia series, where you'll learn about 9 different types of orgasms everyone can have. Go to kimanami.com and you'll see the sign up there. Come one, come all.